Delve into art, architecture, and design with Srijan Design Academy SDA and thrive in exams, college, and career. Welcome to SDA. Figure-based aptitude. Topic 09. Figure series. Relevant for exams like NATA, JEE P2, NID, CEED and UCEED.
Hello everyone. Our exercise for today is figure series. Somewhere you might find it as logical reasoning, somewhere you might find it as analytical reasoning, but I'm simplifying it as figure series because there are multiple variations of it that you will get in all the figure-based questions, whether it is in NATA, CEED, NID, or JEE. Okay, so first of all, understand when there is addition or subtraction, or where there is an increase or decrease in the number of figures, or there is a small alteration, how do we find out what is the next answer? So this is a simple question with us. We can simply figure out that in this case, we are initially getting one figure, then we are getting 1 and 2, then we are getting 1, 2, 3. So what will happen in the next 1, 2, 3 and 4? So our simple answer in this case is C. Let's look at some other question. Now we are getting another question. So we have all the square boxes, that's fine with us. But what is happening beyond square boxes? So we're getting a triangle, which is 3 sides, and then we're getting a square 4. We're getting a square and a pentagon. We are getting a pentagon and an hexagon. So what will happen next? We need to get an hexagon and a septagon. Okay. So where this is happening? So it is happening in option A. Yes, this is 6 and that is 7. Therefore, something like 6 and 7 is our next answer. Therefore, A option is correct. Okay. Let's look at this question. What is happening here? Now, these kind of questions keep getting complicated. So we have to understand it in minute details. Okay. It's mainly about counting, but there will be some other details that will be seen in the upcoming questions. How many lines are there? Okay. Always it is difficult to calculate. So I'm counting this as in groups. So I'm getting 4 and 4. Total of 8 lines that I can see. Okay. So I am considering that something is missing. When I go to the next one, how many lines are there? So 3 and 3. There are 6 lines. When I go to the next one, I can find 2 and 2. So there are 4 lines. So in the next case, we'll just have 2 lines. Where you can see the 2 lines? Only in one option. And your option is C. So what is the easiest trick we have applied so far? It was numbers. Okay. In the upcoming questions, I'll show you what else can come up and how you need to find out the answer. Okay. What is next here? So let's see this question. There is a vertical line that's constant everywhere. There are diagonal lines. So those are 5 in numbers, then 4, then became 2. So how this is happening? So let's see what all is getting subtracted. So 5 lines, then 2 things reduce. 1 line and 1 this. So there is reduction of 2 things. Up next, what happens? 1, 2 and 3. So you lost 3 things, not 2. So up next, what will happen? You will lose 4 things. So when you lose 4 things, so you will lose 2 lines and 2 circles. When you lose all the 4 things, you will be remained only with the vertical line, and therefore option B is correct. Okay. So again, this was also 2, 3, 4, a numeric question. Now we are getting changes. So we are getting angular changes. So first of all, it was number. Now it is angle. Again, it's a number, but it is in terms of angle. So what is happening? This is rotation. Clockwise rotation, how many? So we got 90-degree rotation. Up next, what happened? Again, same 90-degree rotation. So no change. For the next, there will be 90-degree rotation. So the figure will go here, and therefore option A is correct. Okay, in this case, again, there is some sort of rotation we can see, because all these are circular figures. So generally, circular figures will hardly have numbers. They will mainly have angles. So okay, it was initially here, then it moved somewhere here. How many? 45 degrees anti-clockwise. So it was here, then it moved here. How much? 90 degrees. Okay, or we can say 1 step and then 2 steps. So for the next, it will move 3 steps, or we can call it 135 degrees. So if it was here, where it will go? So 1 step, 2 step, 3rd step. So it should be here. It is here in option C. So therefore option C is correct. Now we are getting combination of multiple elements. In earlier exercises also, I have mentioned what is an element. So when you see a figure, there is a square, there is a triangle you can see, there are circles. So there is a filled up circle, there is an empty circle. All these things make up for something, and that is called an element. Okay, so you have to look at one element at a time and answer the question. So we start with the square and the triangle within the square. So initially this was here, then it moved here, and then it moved here. So how do we identify this? This is clockwise movement. This is also clockwise movement. How much? This was 90 degree. This was 180 degree. So up next, what will happen? This will be a clockwise 270 degree movement. So when you move 270 degree, it will come somewhere here at the bottom. Now that we can see in figure B and figure C. But what will happen? So we can see a black dot and an empty dot. Here you can see a black and empty dot. Okay, but in the third figure, there is no empty dot. So what is happening? So there is definitely something happening between black and empty dot. So black dot was at, let me call it corner A, then it moved to corner B. Okay, so that's fine. From corner B, it moved to corner C. Okay, so that looks fine. But what about the other figure? This was at A, then it remained at A, then it is again at A. Therefore, there is an overlap. And that's why we can't see the empty dot or empty circle. So that means the empty circle will remain at A only, which is there in figure B and C both, but the black one will go to position D. Okay, so therefore option C is correct. So sometimes you will also get questions where there is an overlapping and you will feel, okay, there is something missing in the figure. No, it's not missing. It's just that the two similar figures have overlapped and therefore you need to find a pattern. So we find out that here all the three elements were having a distinct kind of movement, and that's how we were able to figure out when we looked at each and every element individually. Okay, again multiple elements. So there are three lines. Okay, I'll name these lines so that it becomes easier. There is A line, there is B line, and there is C line. Okay, so let's look at A line, where the A line is moving. So A line is going here. Okay, what is that? That's an anti-clockwise 90-degree movement. Up next, it is moving here. So again, it is anti-clockwise 90-degree movement. So okay, we have find out that this line will go at the top. Okay, so this is happening only in option C. So now we have an easier answer with us. In case we started B or C, maybe it was moving in some other way, we might have taken time, but because we have chosen the smallest element, it became easier for us. So you can choose either of these things, A, B or C to start with, and you can get your answers. Again, two figures. So you need to look at both the figures. Okay, so can we start with the smaller one and then we move to the bigger one? Because that might be easier. Okay, so this figure is here. And from here it moved here. So in general terms, this movement, we can call it two steps or 90-degree movement. Okay. Similarly, from here, it moved here. So this again, we can call two-step movement. Sorry, two-step movement or 90-degree. So again, it will happen two steps in 90-degree. Therefore, it will come somewhere here. Now, in which option you can see this? You can see this in option B only. Therefore, option B is correct. Now, in order to check whether our bigger figure is correct or not, we'll just do a quick understanding. So we saw that it was here, then it became 1 and 2, then it became 1, 2 and 3. Okay, then it should become 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so now it's easier for us that our final figure has 4 elements. We can also check for the rotation, but we don't need to do this in this case. Let's see what happens in the next case. There is an increase and decrease in the number. There is also rotation. Okay, I told you there will come a combination in the later figure. So here you can see this. It's a hexagon. Now there are 3 hexagons and there are 5 hexagons. So in the next case, you will have 7 hexagons. So as far as number is concerned, it was 1, then 3, then 5, and then up next you need to count 7 somewhere. Let's look about the rotation of the dot. So dot was here. Okay, from here it moved here. So how many positions? It moved 1 position. From here it moved here. So how many positions? 2. So up next it will move 3 positions. So 1, 2 and 3. It will come somewhere here. In which case you can find the dot here, so that you can find an option A. Because I looked at dot, I don't have to count 7 hexagons, which is a complicated task. So that's how I have cleared this question very easily, and this is what you need to do. While solving the figures, you need to focus on one element, and if you begin with the smallest element, that is always easier and you always get the quick answer. Okay, up next. Now, this is rearrange kind of a question where a figure is changing its position. Okay, or a figure is getting replaced or something. So you need to find what is the pattern and then what will happen next. So let's start here. Let's start with the square. So square is moving here and then the square is moving down. So fine, in this case, the square will move here. In which case you can find the square at the corner. In none of the cases. Okay, that means our logic failed. Okay, so again, we move to another figure. So let's start at this line. So line is moving above. Okay, fine. Then the line is moving here. Okay, then we don't know where the line will go. So we figured out 2 patterns. Let's look at another thing. Where the circle is. So the circle came like this. Okay, then the circle is moving above. So fine, up next, we don't know what will happen. Let's look at some other element. Let's look at where the x is moving. Okay, so x was at the corner and then it moved here. In this case, x moved here. Now by doing two figures, we found out a pattern. And what is this pattern? Okay, something in the center goes to the corner, something at the left bottom goes to the left top goes to the right top, okay, and so on. Clear? So if we move in such a direction, what will happen? Where the triangle will go? Triangle will come at the left bottom. And in which case, which is happening? This is happening in case of B. So now let's see. Okay, the x is moving above, or the cross. Okay, the circle is moving at the right top, the line is moving bottom, and the square is moving in the center. So clearly, if I have gone with one single logic, I couldn't figure out the answer. But the moment I started identifying for both the question, it became easier for me to identify the pattern, and therefore I could figure out the answer. So this is what you need to do in order to find out answer in figure series, where you have multiple figures and there is a movement involved. Next question. This is movement as well as some replacement of figure. Okay, so again, you need to find a similar pattern. So let's see where the square is moving. Okay, so the square is going all the way down. Okay, let's see where this is moving. The arrow. So the arrow is going one step above. Okay, let's see where the circle is moving. So circle is also going one step above. This is also going one step above. This is also going one step above. Let's see whether it is following the same pattern in the next diagram or not. So where the arrow must move, arrow should go to the bottom, but it's not happening. The circle must go to the top, it's not happening. So there is something else. So now we can see a two position shift, that the equal is moving here. Oh great. This thing is moving here. Oh great. So there is a two position shift, not one position. The square has moved here. So either in the next question there will be a one movement or there will be a two move. Okay, so we started with one here and then we went to two. So either it should be one or three. This is what will happen. So let's look at the options and then only we can identify what is happening. So let's look at the circle because that is at the bottom. It will be easier for us to understand. Okay, so if it is one step, in none of the options we can find one step. So it is definitely moving three steps. So it is either option A or B or option D. Okay, let's look at the arrow. Arrow is also at the same position, so can't do anything. Okay, let's look at the square is at the bottom, same position. Let's look at the equal. So where the equal will go above the square. Okay, it's at the same position. So everything is almost at the same position. We can't do anything. So now we need to look what is switching. Okay, there is a switch of position also. So when it is switching, now it becomes easier for us to understand one thing. So only one part, which is the topmost, is changing. First position is changing. In the next case, what is happening? First and second are switching the positions. So up next, what will happen? First, second, and third. Okay, because we have figured out either this is a pattern of 1 or 3, because it is following 1 and 2 pattern here. Okay, so it will go to 3 because one thing is following 3 patterns, so another thing will also follow the 3 pattern. So all the 3 will be in opposite direction. In which case this is happening? This is happening only in case of A option. Now, in this question, if I might have begun with switching places 1, 1, 2, then I might have got the answer very quickly. But I relied on identifying the position. So what mistake I did here? The mistake I did is to go for an element which is not easy to understand. So this is what you need to do. You need to go for an element which is easier to understand and which you can easily replicate in terms of numbers. So in figure series, what do we do? Whenever we have a figure, there are 2-3 situations that we need to look at. One thing is number, second thing is angle, and third thing is position. Any figure series is a combination of number, angle, and position only. So either number and angle will come together, angle or position will come together, or all the 3 will come together. These are the only patterns. It is always easier to count the numbers, then angle, and then position. So it is in the increasing order, okay, of the complexity. So whenever you find a figure, always try to calculate the numbers. Okay, if you don't find the answer in numbers, go for angle. If you don't find the answer in angles, then go for position. So in the last question, what mistake I did? I went for position first rather than going for numbers. Why I did that? I did that to explain you all. I hope everyone is clear. Thank you. Remain connected with us.
To buy our detailed study material online, WhatsApp us on 70420646648 or ping us on Instagram. For more questions, drop a comment on our video. Subscribe us to Thrive in Exams, College, and Career.